Hi everyone, welcome back to Sprueverse. Thanks for checking me out and liking and subscribing. I hope everybody's enjoying the content. Please feel free to leave some comments if there's some other things you'd like me to pick up on or follow up on that I've left some loose threads here and there, because it's always fun for me to go back and look at things and expand on things if you'd like me to. Today's episode, I thought we'd carry on where we left off with the Galileo Shuttle. The build's going quite well. What we've done is we've put a primer coat on what I'm calling the butter dish. We've done several coats actually of the primer body filler I use, the Duplo. I showed you that in the last episode. It's really great for filling in scratches and sanding out any of the nicks and nooks in the nooks and crannies. But I'm pretty happy with it. It's going to get a couple more coats of paint, and after we do that, it's just going to get better and better. I've put the floor in, and I've painted the interior of the ship the color that I'm using, which is a sky green. And I just like it. It's a lot of fun, and it feels very sort of retro and 60s to me. But anyway, we've put the floor in, as I mentioned, and I've also scratch built some parts for it that we talked about in the previous episode. Here is the wall, and I'll show you the wall on PhilCam so you can see this up close. So this is the rear wall, and what I've done is I've put a little bit of a fiber optic in the back there, so you can see it pops a little bit of light when I hold it up to the light there. You can see that little crystal light that goes on. And I've added a sort of a plant-on that came with my Shapeways kit. Now, and in the back here is a LED strip which is going to light up the engine bay in the back. I've added the doors as well, as you can see. I broke them in half. I scratch built these, broke them in half, and cut them in half, I should say, just to give the illusion that the door can pocket slide. And then on the back I just put on some black tape for light blocking. And here's the LED strip that I was talking about. And everything is going to plug into my Tenor Controls Ralph Teneglia board, which is attached to my front console now, which is all finished. And it lights up, and I'm very happy with it. As I mentioned last time, Ralph's boards are just great fun. They're so easy to deal with. The instructions are not complicated, and I just really enjoy using them. What I did was I added a lamp. Now it comes with the Shapeways kit comes with two lamps on the sprue like this. What I've done is I've drilled a hole through one. I've put in a nano bulb, which you can get from Evans Lighting Design, and they're online. And they are a great resource for all things electrical for our hobby. LEDs, switches, lights, wire, the whole thing, they have it. And the other thing they'll do for you too, which this one came with, was it's already pre-resisted, so you don't have to worry about resistors. This is good for a 9-volt system and a 12-volt system. And you can see it's lit up. And that's a lot of fun. I'll show you that quickly as well on PhilCam. Here is this lit up. And it's not terribly bright, but it will provide enough light that when you look through this window, it will just sort of, it will pop as because you'll see it's on. So that is the extent of the lighting for this particular kit. I do have the two lenses blacked out and silvered here, and I may light these. Now, they were never lit in the show, and I'm not trying to do something canon, so sometimes I'll go, well, it didn't happen in the show. That's an excuse not to do it. And then if I want to do it, I'll do it anyway. Building models is really a preference. It's a personal choice. Don't get hung up on color. I know I'm going to get yelled at by those who like to produce things that are absolutely detailed in canon. They research the paint colors. They want it to be a perfect model. And as I've always said, I appreciate that, admire it, and I am humbled by it. And sometimes I like to do that too, try to color match and have some fun with that, because that's part of it too, is getting online, researching what things should look like, and then trying to match those colors. But I don't do that with a lot of my models. I just have fun building them, and it's your model, so creatively have it look the way you want and enjoy it. But as I said earlier, it's come together really well. The update for today is the console is completed, the rear wall is now completed. I've got the engine light ready to go, and I've used some dull coat. I've sanded this, as I mentioned before. I thought I wanted it to be just a little more diffused, so I have sprayed some dull coat, some Testors dull coat on it, which has helped give it a nice frosting look. I've tested it. It looks pretty good. This piece is not completely painted, but I'll slide it in for you so you can see what this is going to look like with the back in. You can see. And then this piece of frosting goes behind, and the rear wall will shine the light on that, and it's quite effective. I mentioned that I was going to do it in blue or red, and then I thought to myself, I thought it was just a little cleaner and a little simpler if I just left it white, a warm white. And so I did. Now for the walls, what I've done is I have scratch built some pieces that will go inside the ship, and they will not only hide the joins, because they are obviously very visible, and I'll show you that on PhilCam because I think it's worth it. And you can see they're extremely visible and quite ugly. So what I've done is I built these panels, and they're going to serve two purposes. One is obviously to hide those seam marks, and the other is to hide my wiring, which all has to get to the back of this ship. So these pieces look pretty good, and these plantons, they are in a couple of shots that I've seen on the show, which is why Shapeways included them. The interior of the shuttle changed so many different times, and if you really obviously want to start a debate about it, the interior is obviously a set. The exterior was a practical built ship. I suppose for all intents and purposes you could call it a set, but it was practically built. And I can tell you the cost of building those things firsthand is expensive. I believe when I produced Sequest back in the 90s, we spent probably on the main ship close to $3.5 million, and in 1990s dollars, that's a lot. So in the 60s, I can only imagine what they had budgetarily every week, and the way that simply works is every simple episode that they produce has a small budget for construction, and sometimes they don't construct anything. They stay on the sets that are already built so that they can save up a little money and do something quite extravagant, or sometimes for a new season they'll do something, and I guess the shuttle was one of those things. But anyway, this all goes together like this, and I'll show you that on PhilCam. Now if I let go, it's going to collapse, so I can't let go, but you can see what a difference that's going to make. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it hides those seams beautifully. So I'm very happy with that. So that's good, and that works really well. And obviously the back wall goes in. The back wall goes in, and I push it up to, I put a line in there so you can see how that's going to work. And so all the guts of this are going to have to be pushed down in here, and I'll make sure that I probably put a little bit of hot glue on that. And the actual power itself is going to go through a small hole that I have made in the bottom of the ship, because this is going to be displayed in the landing position. So my console is done, my side walls are done. I have put all the lights are ready to go. So the next thing I'm doing really is just some detailed work. And I think the next episode you'll see that when we see this, it will be finishing touches or just completion itself. And then I'll have to figure out the base situation. And I want to talk to you briefly about the base before I do a little bit of sort of bench work, because I thought it'd be fun to do a little bit bench work while we're all together. But in considering the base, I talked last time about Boyd Crompton's channel Trekworks, and how Jerry at HDA Model Works had built him a beautiful display stand. The top looked like the deck of the shuttle bay, and the side looked like a classic control panel from the bridge with the jewels, the candy buttons, and everything. And I really like that, and there's a part of me that wants to do that. So I'm thinking about whether or not I can, and I'm not sure whether Jerry will have something in time for me, or maybe I'll just set it aside and wait till it's finished. But in the meantime, I was at my local hobby shop the other day, the Burbank House of Hobbies, and it's one of the I think the best hobby shops left in the Los Angeles area. And I found these bad boys from a company called Super Wings, SWS, Super Wings. And it is a Japanese company, obviously. I will show you one here. There it is. And here it is for the camera here. They come in these bags. They're quite heavy. They're quite hefty. They're acrylic. And they're diorama bases. And they are beautifully made. They're really fun. I got one, which is the Constellation in 1/48 scale, the Constellation flight deck. But I loved all the gack on it, and I thought to myself, you know, this might make a great base for a sci-fi model of some kind, just because the gack on it is just really fun. And I'm just so impressed with the detail of it. I was wondering if I could just... Well, I'm not going to open this one, but I will open this one. This is called North American Campaign. North American Campaign. And it is in 1/32 scale, apparently. But check this out. It's ready to go. It's an alien landscape. And I love the fact that it's round. And look at this. If I put this down and I put the model on it, it just fits nicely. And I'll show you on PhilCam what that looks like, because I was just completely chuffed by this. That's an English term, chuffed. Look at that. Isn't that fun? I was just really impressed with it. And I think even, you could even, if you wanted to put it on a turntable, I just love the grittiness of it. And I just thought that was a lot of fun. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of people going, Phil, we build these things ourselves. That's part of the fun of it. I agree. But I also like to talk about things that are out there that you can find if you so choose to do so. Because aftermarket things can be a little expensive, but sometimes we want to treat ourselves to something, or we feel like that is just perfect for me. But anyway, there it is. It's from a company called SWS Super Wings. And I'll leave a description, I'll leave some information on that in the description. But I'm just in love with that. Now, it was, I think, about 20 bucks. And I have to tell you, sometimes I've ended up spending 60 bucks on a stand. So anyway, it's an option, it's a way to go. And I thought it was a lot of fun. And I wanted to share that with you. So we are now at a point where we're starting to do some really nice detail work. And then we can start to go to final paint. And one of the things we need to do is we need to get some decals on this bad boy. And today I thought it would be fun to just have a chat and do some decals. What I've done is I've cut the back of the box art off, so I have my reference. I've got my decal sheet in front of me. I've got, I'm on a towel. Now, the reason why I'm on a towel, and it's a great tip, is because if you are doing detail work with some paint, or if you are working with some glue or something else, inevitably you're going to spill it. And what I've learned to do is put down a nice soft towel. I wipe my brushes on it. I don't have to keep searching for paper towels and all that other nonsense. It just makes my life a little easier. And it's also safer. So that's why I put a towel down. I've got myself a pair of very sharp scissors. I have got some Q-tips. And we can go to town. Now, as we're doing decals, I thought it might be fun to say there are decal solutions out there that's job it is to make sure these decals go down and stay down. Now these are very tiny areas, so I am not glossing them over. You should put a coat of gloss varnish on this. Then you should put your decals, let it dry, put your decal over it, and then you can mat it down. But since it's such a tiny area, I'm not, and I've got my background in black, on a matte black, I don't believe I'm going to get any silvering. You wouldn't want to do that if you were going to use the decals to say Enterprise on the ship, you would want to make sure this had a good gloss coat on it, put down your decals, and then you would come back and seal it with a matte finish afterwards. However, this bad boy is going to get its markings painted on, courtesy of Lou Del Maso's excellent masks, Aztec Dummy. One of the things I'll mention before we get going here is that there are many different solutions on the market for laying down decals and keeping them down. I have tried all of them, I believe. I've tried all of them. There's Marked Fit decal solution. There's Marked Fit Strong. There's Micro Set and Micro Sol. There's model decals for curved surfaces called Decal Magic scale models. There's also Walther's Solver Set decal setting solution, and I have to say I think this is my go-to. It deserves PhilCam. Here it is. Setting solution works really well. So it's my go-to, and it's what I'm going to use today for this kit. So here we are, and this is the unit, and it's the shelf. What I did was I added a little bit of my own gack to this. I added this piece right. I've added this piece right here with this group of wires. Why? Because I could, and it's fun. And I just think it adds another layer of realism to it. And this comes courtesy of a company called Detail Masters. And what this actually is it's the top of an ignition coil for a car. I use these all the time in my sci-fi models because I just think they're a lot of fun, and they add a certain level of detail to it. So anyway, there it is. So let's get cracking here, as Wayne would say, from World of Wayne. If you don't know Wayne and you don't know his channel, you should. Great fun, and I am a huge fan. So check him out, World of Wayne. So here we go. I'm going to start with this large panel, number 23. And here it is on the sheet. So I'm going to cut this bad boy out. Now, these particular decals are all pre-cut, meaning that you don't have to worry about any additional film being on the decal that would extend beyond it. You don't have to worry about that. Now what I'm doing, I'm just dropping this into some water here for a few seconds. I take it out and I put it on my towel. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide this into place right here. Now, there is a company whose name is, it's called Squadron. And they make things, tools and things for the hobby. They make this. It's a decal squeegee. Now, I've tried it several times, and I can tell you it's actually quite helpful for certain kinds of decals. It helps push them into place and get some of the air bubbles out of it. Do you need one? No, but why not? So here we go. Here is our decal, and it is just, now I'm glad it actually did this. It's ripped. It actually ripped. Now, they can do this if they're dry. This one seems quite dry. But fear not, you have a black background and it's so tiny that if you promise not to tell anyone, I won't. That's pretty bad. That's ripped. But fear not. Fear not. Put on a little dabble, do ya? Give this a little dab. And that'll settle down quite nicely. And that'll be okay. You can come across that a lot. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you might have to send away for another sheet. It can happen, but companies like Round 2 are actually quite friendly about things like that. And if you give them the kit number, I think for shipping and handling, for the price of shipping and handling, they'll actually send you one. At least in my experience, they will. So we're going to put the next one in. Set it on the paper. And then I'm going to do the last two here. I once did a model that had 3 decal sheets. 3. Now you can't use them all. I didn't. You got to know where to stop. But it can be quite therapeutic sometimes once you get into it. But I also see why a lot of these channels don't do a lot of the build process, because as you can see, it can be quite time consuming, but it's a lot of fun, and I thought it would be fun for us just to sort of hang and do this together. I just bought the Supermarine Spitfire build from D'Agostini. I ordered that, and that'll be coming, and we will be building that, guys, because I just love them. I just think they're great fun. So here we are. Now I dip these in water for just a few seconds, and then I leave them on the towel to separate. These particular decals happen to be extremely, extremely dry. I don't know why, but they are. That's okay. As long as you've got your decal solution, you shouldn't have too many troubles. And you can see I gently just dab around with the Q-tip, and I get these little bad boys into position. I will say these are very dry, and I'm not sure why, but they are. They're very dry, and that means that they are brittle. And that happens. I don't know if anybody else has come across that, but these are definitely brittle. But a little bit of setting solution in them, and they're really behaving. I'm going to finish this last decal, and then we will I'll put in the last couple of decals, and then I'll show you how that looked when I'm finished. It'll take me probably another half an hour in my time, but 1 second in your time. Okay, so we are back. Through the magic of editing, I had to shut down there because I had a funky situation. It turned out that the actual decal sheet that I was using, and I mentioned I have a couple of these, so that's fine. But this particular decal sheet, the decals are dry. They're completely dry, so the glue is not behaving. Fortunately, I'm not going to be using these. I'm going to be painting the exterior. But for the few that I've been doing, I just wanted to show you what we ended up with here. And let me turn on PhilCam so you can see what I'm doing. So we finished this. You can see, kind of fun. Now the actual decal itself is a little shiny right now in the light because it's drying. When it dries, it's going to get a coat of matte paint, a matte varnish, and that will tie everything together and hold it down. And you can see here's the bottom plate, and that all went on quite well. So that's all done. And there's this piece here, which is just, it's a red, well, you can see it. It's the red lens that goes here on the ship. And so that was fun. Sorry we got into the weeds a little bit on laying decals, but it is fun to do some of these things on camera. But as I've mentioned before, yes, I want to do build shows, but I don't want to spend an hour on putting a decal down. A lot of you, if not all of you, know how to do decals better than me, but that's okay. I just wanted to hang with you guys for a little bit and show you what I was up to. This bad boy will be almost finished for the next episode, where we will get all the wiring in. I'll make sure that I shoot some video of it so that you can see what I did. We'll get the front console in, the chairs in, and that will take care of the interior of this piece. We'll get one more coat of primer on the outside with a soft sanding, just to make sure we've got these some little seamage issues taken care of. And then we will be able to show you what this looks like on its display case, on its display base. I will have made a decision by then, I think, on how we're going to display it. Anyway, lots of fun. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been great fun hanging with you guys. I appreciate all of you, and I certainly appreciate all the likes and subscribes. Thank you very much for doing that. I hope you are enjoying yourselves, and I hope that you're part of whatever you're choosing to do in the world of the hobby, that you're enjoying yourself. To me, there's no better pleasure than to do this. It is, for me personally, great fun. So there it is for this episode. That's the update on the Galileo Shuttlecraft by round 2. And I'm enjoying this build immensely. It's a fun build. I hope you guys are safe, well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.